great to be with all of you in this virtual conversation. I'm so impressed by the turnout. When I heard that there was an organization of Black parents, or I should qualify, parents of Black children in Pasadena, that was meeting, that was together, and they asked me if I would speak to you, I readily agreed because, first of all, I'm just impressed that this kind of work is happening in Pasadena. But second of all, because I believe parents are the secret weapon. If we want to see Black children succeed, we have to engage Black parents. So I want to thank you all for your involvement. Thank you for being with me tonight. I just encourage you to stay connected and stay involved because, as I know as a parent, being a parent is not easy. I would say of all the things I do, it's the most challenging part. So I come to you with humility, knowing how hard it is to raise children and how hard it is to see them become successful adults. And when I say successful, I define that broadly, because we're not just thinking about grades and what college they got into. That's important. But if our kids get good grades, but they have mental health issues, we're not going to be happy. If they have good grades, but they have drug problem or they are depressed, we're not going to be happy. We want to see well-rounded young people who are independent and able to support themselves, so you don't have to take care of them for the rest of their lives, right? So it's in that spirit that I come to you. I want to also give a shout out to the non-Black parents of Black children. Because I see some folks on the screen, and my assumption is when I look at you, you're not a Black individual, but you're raising Black children. Several years ago, we were doing some work up in Northern California with aimed at trying to mobilize Black parents. And when we started calling meetings, we started realizing, guess what? Not every Black child has a Black parent. And we want whoever the parent is, whether it be grandparent, foster care parent, whoever is raising that child needs to understand the needs of that Black child. So I want to just affirm your presence and say, I'm glad you're here. Because especially if you're not Black, you may not be fully aware of some of the challenges that Black children face. So I appreciate your willingness to be part of this conversation, and I encourage you to stay involved because your kids need you to be informed and to stay active as a parent. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to do a short presentation and open it up for discussion. Can everybody see that? Okay. So,
you're good to go, Doc.
This is all about ensuring success by building partnerships between schools and parents. And so let me start by saying that all the research shows parents matter. Right? Parents matter because if you look at the kids who are succeeding, who are doing well, there's almost always some caring adult in the background who's been looking out for them. Okay? It is rare to meet a child who does it on their own. I've met some young people like that who've gone through the foster care system. Those people exist, but they're very, very few. Most of the children, most of the young people I see, and I've been at USC, UCLA, Harvard, NYU, Berkeley, the ones I see succeeding and thriving have some parent or grandparent, a caregiver who has their back. Now, I share a picture, this picture, because this is a good friend of mine. He and I went to college together, Tiba and Biwan. And the point is that even our families take all forms. Sometimes we have stepchildren, sometimes we have foster children, adopted children. Family is family. So whatever your family looks like, right, whether it be two parents of the same gender, whatever it is, the point is to give our kids the love and support they need, right? And that's what we're after. And I believe that if we were to treat if our kids were treated the way in school, the way teachers would treat their own children or want their children treated, we would have much better outcomes for our kids. But since this is not a message to teachers, I'm going to focus right now on what you do. As I think I already heard, you are the child's first teacher, right? It is from you that they're going to get so many habits, because children are learning all the time. They're learning by touching, by putting things in their mouth, through play, through exploration. You especially see it with respect to language, but it's not just language. They're learning all kinds of things. And so you have a wealth of knowledge about your child, about how they learn, about what interests them. And I want to encourage you to appreciate your own knowledge, because you can use that to be an advocate for your child, to let the teacher know, my child likes science fiction, if that's what they like. My science likes animals, if that's what they like. You know your child. Right? And so don't be afraid of sharing that with the educators that work with your child. The other thing we know is most parents want to see their children succeed. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't mean that you necessarily know how to help that child succeed. So I'm going to come back to that in a moment. My daughter pointed out, you know, I have 5 children of my own. My youngest is 12. She pointed out the other day, she said, how come a person does not take a course to become a parent? That's a good point. You know, you have to pass a test to drive a car. You don't have to pass any test to have a child. And so we have lots of people raising children who make mistakes, and or who are well-intentioned but don't necessarily know how to support the child to be successful in life or in school. So, but what we do know is that when parents are involved at home, and I'll come back to that in a little while, and attentive to what's happening in school, kids do better. Now, we also know that when schools are aware that you're involved, that you're paying attention, they are more likely to treat your child as if they matter. Now, it shouldn't be that way. It should be that every child matters, regardless of what's happening at home. But sadly, that's not always the case. And in some schools, if a parent is not inquiring, is not showing up, is not making contact with the teacher, assumptions are made about parents, about you're not caring. And so those of you who are on this call tonight, you're showing your interest. Now think about all those who are not on this call, who are too busy for whatever reason. How do we reach out to them? Because their children are in school with your children, and they're going to influence your children. So as enthusiastic as I am about seeing so many people come together, I know we have work to do to reach out to the others who, for whatever reason, aren't able to make this a priority. This is my own family. Forgive me for the blurry image. The oldest, who lives in Pasadena and is an educator himself, is going to be 42 this month. The youngest is 12. So I have quite a spread, don't I? Right? You know, the first 4 were from their mom who passed away. And then I remarried and have now a 12-year-old. Right? I also have 5 grandchildren, 2 of whom are older than my youngest. Okay. So when I speak about this, I speak about it as a parent, knowing how hard it is. I wrote an article, a well-known article about my oldest son called Joaquin's Dilemma, how he navigated masculinity and peer relations in school, and how I, as a parent, had to understand what he was going through to prevent myself and his mom from getting into an antagonistic relationship with him. And I think many of us who are raising teenagers know teenagers come with lots of challenges. And the challenge for you as a parent is to stay close even as they're getting older, right? So that you can continue to be and influence on them. We focus on parents because we know that when we increase parental involvement, especially at home, and I'm going to come back to that a little later, what you can do at home to support your children, it makes a huge difference. We also know that when parents are involved at school, when they know what's going on, who the teachers are, what the assignments are, what courses your child needs to take to be ready for college, then your child is going to do better in school. Okay, so we need to be informed consumers of education. We cannot be passive. Right? Some parents think that I got them to school, now it's on them. Fortunately, that's not good enough, especially as they get older. And the challenge as they get older is your kids may not want you to be involved. So they're not letting you know, oh, there's a meeting tonight. Oh, back to school night is coming up. So you have to make sure that you are informed. You have a way to contact each teacher, their email address, their number, so that you don't find out later on that there was a problem, because you're in good communication with all the educators that are serving your child. So very important that you understand your role in the educational process. There are real barriers to building a productive relationship between teachers and parents. The first is lack of trust. And unfortunately, not all teachers demonstrate the kind of care and interest in our children that we want to see. Trust has to be earned. Right? If I was doing this workshop for teachers, I would talk a lot about what they can do to develop trusting relationships with parents. And in your case, as parents, you've got to be the one to let them know, look, I'm here to do my part, but I need it's a two-way street. I need to know. You let me know if my child's not doing their work. You let me know if there's a problem so I can deal with it immediately. Right? Because if I find out my child is failing and I got no early warning, then I'm going to come to you and say, why didn't you tell me as soon as he failed the first quiz or as soon as homework wasn't coming in? So communication is essential for building trust. Sometimes it's too much trust, right? And that's the parents who just think, send them to school and they'll do their part. And I just want to encourage you, don't fall for that. Stay involved, stay aware, because it'll make a huge difference. Lack of respect gets in the way, and we all know when someone is speaking down to us, is condescending, is not giving us the kind of time and attention we need and deserve. And so while we need a good, constructive relationship, we also have to call it out when we feel like we're not being respected and be aware of our rights as parents. There's nothing wrong with going over a teacher's head, going right to the principal or to central office to let them know if there's a problem in addressing the needs of your child. Very important for you to see yourself as your child's advocate. There are a lot of staff who don't have the cultural competence to work with Black children and by extension, Black parents, right? They don't know, they're not comfortable with us. They're not at ease in communication. They come with prejudices and bias, and it may not be overt, but kids can tell if a teacher doesn't like them, or if a teacher's afraid of them, right? Or if a teacher is treating them unfairly. And part of our advocacy is let the teacher know, I'm here to make sure my child gets what they're entitled to, which is a good education in your class. And there are some parents who themselves have had bad experiences in school. Right? They've experienced teachers that were unfair and arbitrary. They didn't like school very much. And sometimes your attitudes can influence the way your children think about school. So I do want to encourage you as parents to recognize that by demonstrating the importance of learning, the importance of education, right? you are sending a signal to your child about its value. If you get your kids reading on their free time, if you demonstrate to kids, right, that they can use knowledge to change their life, to help themselves, help their families, help their community, they're going to see the power of learning. And that's what we want our kids to see. It's not just about getting a degree, because there are a lot of kids now questioning the value of degrees. They need to know why. What's it for? What's it about? And that's why we have to share our own stories and experiences. My father and mother, neither of them graduated from high school. They sent all 6 of us to college. Both were avid readers. They read independently. We saw them reading. And they would make us go to the library after our chores, right, so that we became readers. My father used to say, you get a free education with a library card. And that's still true. So let us make sure that we are projecting to our children the importance of education so they understand that. Cultural competence is about the ability to work as a professional across differences of race and class and language and culture. It's essential in any human service profession, whether we're talking about teaching or nursing or social work, but it's hard to learn. And unfortunately, we have lots of educators who don't have it, that ability. And so I want to acknowledge that this often gets in the way of building a good, positive relationship with teachers or administrators. You have to be aware that some of those educators are going to need to learn how to deal with your child and to deal with you, because you're not going away, right? And hopefully they can acquire some cultural competence as a result. I would say the key to understanding and building a partnership with parents is recognizing that we have shared interests. Theoretically, the teacher wants your child to succeed, and you want your child to succeed. So if we both want the child to succeed, we should be on the same page, right? Now the question is, what's getting in the way? And if we could talk about what might be getting in the way, is it not getting the work done? Is it not understanding the work that's required? Is it being distracted? If we can have it in a way that is not about blame, right? And there's a tendency on the part of some educators to blame parents when a child's not doing well, then we can get to the point of working together to reinforce the kinds of behaviors that we know a child needs to be successful. So we want to build a partnership. That's what you're after with the teacher. You're not after a strained relationship. But you also have to build a partnership based upon an understanding of what's your role as a teacher and what's my role as a parent. They're not the same. Teachers have to have clear expectations. They have to be able to share what those expectations and goals are with you and with your child. You, in turn, have a responsibility. Get your child to bed on time. Make sure they're not in the room playing video games or on the cell phone. Get them to school on time. Get their work done. And that's your job. Teacher can't do that for you. And so we have to be clear about our role as parents in supporting our children. Because again, what we're after is a partnership where we're working together to support the interests of our child. So let me describe a school where I saw how powerful it can be when schools work with parents. So I was visiting a school in just outside of Port Elizabeth in South Africa, Sapphire Roads Primary School. And here's the principal. His name is Bruce Dammons. And he was sent to become principal of the school. The school was non-functional. Kids were not showing up. Teachers were not showing up. They weren't getting paid. People had vandalized the school, stolen the pipes, broken up furniture. So he gets there, and he's a smart guy. He decides he's going to start out by throwing a party for the community. And he throws a party with food, with music. He calls it a Thanksgiving party. They don't celebrate Thanksgiving in South Africa. But he's giving thanks. He said, I'm thanking you in advance for the help you need to provide to this school, because I can't do it alone. So they say, okay, we get the point. He said, first thing we need to do is stop the vandalism. They said, well, we know who's been ripping off the school. He says, I need some people who can help protect the school. So they introduce him to some young men in the community. He cuts a deal. He says, we have a lot of land here. You all can have housing on site if you will provide security for my school. I have no money to pay you, but you can get free housing. They cut a deal, and now the school is secure. No more problems with vandalism, no more theft. He goes to the parents. He says, we need to get kids back in school. They say the children are hungry. Over half the children at this school were orphans, had died of AIDS. He said, a lot of these kids no one is taking care of them. They're neglected. He said, look at all the land we have. Why don't we have a farm? Why don't we have a garden? Well, they do now. And it's run by parents. They've got goats, they've got chickens, they've got all kinds of vegetables growing, run by parents. Over 60 volunteers a day, staffing the garden and staffing the clinic. I said, well, are you all trained to do health work? They said, no, not at all. So all we usually do if a child is sick, they come, we give them a glass of water, tell them to lay down. And half the time it works. If it doesn't work, then we got to get a real nurse in here to help the child. But the point is, they're no longer waiting for help. They took action. And because they took action, kids are coming back to the school now. The school is brimming with adults from the community who support teachers in the school. And over again, what I heard when I was there from the principal is, this is their school, not mine. He said, I will leave, I'll get a new assignment. They will be the ones that have to keep this work up. And the parent council that I met with, they took that role very seriously. So I share that because it's very easy because we live in a country where these school districts can be very alienating, can make it very difficult to navigate and advocate for children. It's very important to realize that we have to play a role by being involved and not waiting to be asked to support our own children. So the basic ingredients, again, that we're after is respect, mutual respect. The educators need to be respected, but of course, parents have to be respected. There has to be a recognition, all parents, regardless of how much education they've had, can help their own children. As I said, neither of my parents graduated from high school. My mother had an 8th grade education, but they believed in education. All parents can help their own children. We need adults who have, educators who have empathy for adults. Empathy is not pity. Pity is about looking down on somebody. Empathy is about understanding what a person might be going through and then offering support. That's what we're after. And then some schools don't really want parents to be involved because what's happening there is not good for children. And those are the schools. If your child happens to be at a school like that, and I'm glad to see you have a board member on this call too, Patrice Matthews, I saw her name up there a little while ago. We need to make sure that parents are looking at the data, asking tough questions, because if you go to a school serving an affluent community and you ask the educators, who are you accountable to? They will always say, to the parents we serve. To the parents we serve. That has to be true in every school. But it'll only happen if we're organized and involved. There are a lot of ways to be involved. You can be involved at the site level, the district level. You can get involved through academic enrichment activities. and not just Black History Month, but definitely Black History Month, but throughout the year. You know, math is a huge equity issue. We need to make sure our kids are getting good instruction in math, so they're building confidence and competence in math, so they have access to careers in science, technology, engineering, and math. And then ideally, if the school is willing to help parents, there are some parents who are struggling with raising their own kids. Hopefully Pasadena is a district that is willing to make an effort to reach out to parents so that parents feel supported. We want to make sure there's lots of opportunities for parents and teachers to talk throughout the year. We want to, there are some schools, and I recommend it, that have the child present when parents and teachers meet. And the reason why that's sometimes important, so that you're not getting incomplete information. If the teacher says the child didn't do the work and the child says they did do the work, now you're left not knowing what happened. Have the child there. Let's see the work. Or let's find out when the work was assigned. It's also good to have a child explain, this is what we're doing in class. This is what we're learning. Because it demonstrates some ownership on the part of the child. Not every school is ready for that, but I think it's a good step when we involve parents in those ways. And then, you know, when there are new children coming into a school, it's very important that we have an intake procedure set up so that there's an orientation for the new child and for the parent on what to expect and where to go if you need help and support. So all those help to build an effective partnership between parents and schools. The last thing I'll say, and I'll close with this, is the most important form of parental involvement is what we do at home. I can't say enough. Getting your kids to bed on time. We have a lot of kids out there who are sleep deprived because they're up too late, playing video games, they're on their cell phones. You got to limit it. I'm glad to see a lot of schools now are implementing cell phone bans. I support it. Kids don't need cell phones in school. And you have to be willing to exercise your own leadership at home by saying, from this, you know, after whatever, after 9 o'clock, no more cell phone. Right? Silent reading. All the research shows parents who are willing and able to enforce basic expectations on their children are going to see better outcomes for their children. Very important that when you speak to your children, especially as they get older, that you don't conduct it like you're doing an interrogation in the police department. Who are you with? What did you do today? Because chances are you're not going to get a whole lot from them, especially the boys. You want to make sure you take time to listen. Do things with them. Take them with you shopping. Have them help you while you're cooking. And it's in the course of those activities, hopefully, you can get them to open up because you need to know what's going on with them. And they're only going to tell you if you take the time for the conversation. So I really want to encourage that. Get to know who your kids are hanging out with. Who are their friends? Who are their peers? And get to know the parents of those kids. So if your child is out late or says they're sleeping over someone's house, you know that parent, you can say, are they there? What's happening over there? Get to know the other parents. Very important. Let your children see you reading and learning. Because if you're in there watching TV while they're supposed to be doing their work, they'll say, well, you know, obviously reading is not that important, otherwise you'd be doing it too. So model for your kids and do things with them, like take them to the Museum of Natural History or Science, or they just reopened the African American Museum at Exposition Park. I was there Saturday, and a great place to take your children. And then share your own experiences and stories with your children so they know, you know, life is hard. You've gone through challenges. How did you overcome obstacles? How did you deal with, you know, difficult people, difficult teachers? Share those stories so they can learn from your experience. So again, I want to say that being a parent is not easy. But it is so important. And I'm really glad to see this is happening in Pasadena, that you are involved in these ways. And I look forward to hearing about good things happen because of your involvement. So I'll stop there, and I'll be happy to take any comments, questions from the audience.
Thank you so much, Dr. Noguera. You gave us so much to think about.
All right. So this is actually, this picture behind here is something called Black History Living Museum. So I'll talk about that in a second, but it's a pretty amazing opportunity that we put together for third through fifth graders. So here's our mission. You know, really, it's a kind of a three-part mission in some ways, right? To honor and embrace the identity and experiences of PUSD African American families, to advocate for the cultural acceptance of all. But this is my favorite part: to mobilize and engage all stakeholders to transform the system to ensure a high quality education for all students, right? So that's what really gets me up in the morning personally, right? Is working with folks on this call, including everyone on this call, to really think deeply and work hard and be actionable to create opportunities for all young people, not just my kids or my neighbors or the kids in my kids' class, right? But really all Black students in Pasadena, right? So, and we use these monthly meetings as an opportunity to get stronger, right? So, we had Pedro Noguera on today, who is the dean of the University of Southern California and is the #1 education scholar in the country, right? Talking to us about parenting and the role that parents can play in terms of building parent school to family partnerships. We've had Chris Chapman from Kingmaker of Oakland, Dr. Travis Bristol. We had Dr. Tyrone Howard, who was actually from the Graduate School of UCLA. A couple years ago, we had Luke Wood, who's now the president of Sacramento State and created the first Black honors college in the nation. And he came to speak to the African American Parent Council in Pasadena, right? So I think for us, we really want to create opportunities with you all to get stronger, right? To learn new stuff, to think differently, to think outside the box, to push ourselves as parents to think about what is possible when we work together to create educational opportunities for young people. With black youngsters at the center, right? So we really try to create this space. So when you come to our meetings, we will always try to have a powerful Black speaker here to really push us and get us to think differently and to think expansively around what we could do together, right? And the second piece is, I think, what really Mark took us through, right? Is how do we share space with you all and you share space with us to really build community and to share things, right? So I haven't paid for grades, but there are a bunch of people on the call who have, right? And some other people who are like, you know what, damn, paying for grades sounds kind of, that might work for my kid, right? And so I think we get better together, right? We get better together. So I want to take y'all through, I don't know if this is going to work, my animation skills, let's see how it goes, right? Well, here's our year at a glance. So you're here today and we want to shout you out. There was like 90 plus people on the call today, right? We came out the gate pretty hard this year. So we're excited, right? So parents are the first teacher is our September meeting. Next month, hopefully you'll be back with us again. We're going to really be talking about possibility thinking. And for those of you that don't know, we're actually in the midst of working with the district to create a middle school academy that has Black students and families at the center, right? Which is like really? So a Pan-African immersive academy at one of our middle schools that's really going to center Black students and Black student life. And so we'll be talking about that next time. I won't talk too much about it because I really want you all to be there to engage and push back and have us think about what we're trying to do, right? And so we'll talk about Math Power Out in a second. I have a couple more slides, but in November we'll have our first kind of in-person opportunity. We call it the Thankfulness Potluck. And so the district will buy some food, we'll buy some food. And if you want to bring some food in too, and it's really an opportunity for us to break bread and connect. And so I remember, seeing some of the folks on the call. I remember the Lees from Washington were there. I remember Calvin and Isis from Jackson were there. Last time we met, the Eatmans from Hamilton. I'm probably missing a whole bunch of folks, but it's really dope, right? Just opportunities to just like come together as Black families and just like, break bread together and share time together and share space. We take a little bit of a break, right? Because we're parents and volunteers, and we come back in February, we come back hard. So we'll talk about Black College Expo because it's pretty dope, an opportunity for high school students. And then we do something called Black Educators Matter, because you know what? Black educators matter, right? And they don't get told enough that they matter in our district, and they don't get told enough that they matter in this country. And so we take an opportunity every single year to let Black educators, including Mel, who I know who had to jump off, but we shouted out Mel last year, that they matter. And so that'll be in person, and we'll let you know where it's going to be. Winding down the year, we're going to do something on enrichment and summer opportunities, because you can never be too early to think about some of those things that you want to get your kids in for the summer, right before all the slots get, the Harambe's, the Freedom Schools, the Outward Bounds. We got a lot of stuff going on in Pasadena, so we're going to make sure that your kids are put on for the summer. And then Black History Living Museum, which I'll talk about in a second. I know I'm talking fast, but let's go through a couple more slides. Promise won't. Oh, there we go. Let's see. All right. So in the fall, pretty soon, we're going to launch Math Power. And Natasha just spoke to this, but we've been doing this since 2019. And really the idea that we really want to get in classrooms with ideally every single Black first and second grader in our district, right? And this is not an intervention program. It's really an opportunity for all of our young people to have an advocate with them to in the classroom, to make them feel even more empowered about math. Even if you're a great mathematician, we want to make sure that you feel seen and taken care of. And that's our guy, Mark Ellis, right there, volunteering at Norma Coombs. I know we got some Norma Coombs folks in the building. We're also really proud because for 2 years in a row we've written grants. We got almost $40,000 worth of grants to really expand Math Power Hour, because we're trying to show folks that Black parents can go after grants and get those too, to make sure that the types of programs that matter for our community are sustainable. Oh, that wasn't what I meant to do. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going back to that, unfortunately. All right, next up. So in February, right? So these are I'm coming back around to some of the initiatives now, right? In February, we got the Black College Expo. So shout out to Scott Harden, who is one of our new board members, but he was formerly at the PTA, probably still at the PTA, but really helped us to kind of partner on a grant that we got for 2 years in a row, in which we're sending hundreds of Black PUSD students to the Black College Expo, right? Opportunities for them to go together in cohorts with other Black students. Like, they look around and all there is Black students, and everybody's talking about college, right? And so when we poll kids at the end, like 90% of kids said that they felt more committed and more connected to the idea of going to college having done this experience. So we're really excited to do it again in February. I'm almost done now. Black educators matter. I mean, we don't need to say too much more about this, but you need to definitely be in the building to give some Black educators their flowers, right? Last but not least, Black History Living Museum. This is actually one of the coolest opportunities of the year for us. Eligible and open to all 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. The diverse group, you'll see the diverse group of winners right there, right? And really young people research a hero or heroine, present day or in the past, and really show up dressed up as that person and give a 1-minute speech or a 90-second speech. And it's a great opportunity to really see young people sitting in history, living Black history, and flexing their academic skills and their public speaking skills. I mean, it's really cool. It's a really great opportunity. So that's in May. I think that's all for us. We wanted to take an opportunity just to kind of share with you, right? Share our pathway so that you kind of know where we're going. We hope that you've enjoyed this meeting today, and that you'll rock with us in person, virtual, Black College Expo, Math Power Hour, Black History Living Museum. There are opportunities to tap in with us, both as a volunteer and your kids as participants. But we can only do this when we do this together. We can do this, but we do this best when we do this together. So I'll stop talking. Any questions for the AAPC about that kind of calendar flow before we pivot back to Jasmin from FRC?
Hello, everyone. I am so sorry about the mishap. I had to go ahead and call in from audio through my phone. But thank you, John, once again for having me and all of AAPC and giving me the opportunity just to really kind of piggyback on Dr. Noguera's presentation and utilizing our office as a resource. And a lot of, what he was talking about, we directly can help with. I do apologize about my lighting as well. I believe Jeff was going to pull up my slides if possible. If not, I can totally just touch bases on a little bit of the work that the Family and Community Engagement Office does, or the Family Resource Center for all of PUSD. Mainly with our work, we are all about supporting families, but specifically with my position, parents are everything. And educating parents, supporting parents, and just really connecting and collaborating with them to best support our students is our goal. So our first main support system or aspect that we kind of build upon within our office is the parent education classes that we offer. This was one point that I was really happy to hear Dr. Noguera speak on, seeing as though we try to make it known, but people still aren't aware of all the different wonderful workshops and classes that not only our office provides, but throughout the district, including mental health, and our health departments and other different departments, they offer parent engagement classes. However, ours are definitely geared specifically to parent support, and we can get very nitty gritty and specific as far as the topics. So with that, we do have a full complete catalog that I would love to share with Nia or Natasha or John, whomever afterwards, so that I can share that with everyone. And it's pretty extensive. It ranges from social and emotional support all the way to managing screen time, like Dr. Noguera mentioned, as far as trying to really balance that academic support and, you know, emotionally supporting and not being the bad guy, but balancing that act. That's a really popular, important one that we would love to help and express and really provide across the district, but it can also be at school sites specifically as well. Piggybacking from that, the family engagement staff development that we support really ties to the community assistant at all school sites. And if you're not aware, there is a community assistant at each school site throughout PUSD. The only one not currently having one would be Jackson Steam Magnet Elementary. However, that position is looking to be filled very soon. And the community assistant is really that first person on the ground and available at your school site to help with all things basic needs, basic information, general information, and the first step for resources and help as well. So because they are face-to-face with most parents and families on a day-to-day basis, we try to support and develop them as much as possible, including a monthly meeting, kind of informing them of updates around the district, as well as utilizing it for development for specific things, including supporting students with disabilities, English learners, our African-American students, families in transition, really encompassing everything possible. The parent leadership development is directly tied to presentations like we just had today and the meeting that AAPC is giving now. We really offer support and try to be a resource to all parent groups, both at all school sites as well as district level. So including the AAPC, helping with communication as well as events when need be, and just really anything you can ask of from us. If it's in our ability, we really try to support in any way, just because we know that when we're able to support those parents and they're able to continue engagement, it just success support. Tying directly to this is our volunteer processing. If you have become an official volunteer throughout PUSD or at a current school site, you have been processed. Family and community engagement directly will go ahead and help any parent, family, community volunteer that would like to help at the school site or district level. However, this is done directly through that community assistant that was mentioned before. So if you have interest about, you know, helping out with AAPC and one of their events at a school site, or joining Math Power Hour and would want to specifically help at a different school, please feel free to connect with your community assistant at your school site, or if you would like to connect with myself or one of my colleagues, we would love to help get that process going for you so that you could continue to engage and possibly help out in those areas that we know are so crucially needed. All areas could use help, believe us. And lastly, community engagement overall is a very large point that we try to run by and really maintain that make sure that we're maintaining in all of our collaborations. because we are a wide district and we are spread across the Pasadena, we are lucky to have lots of different local organizations and resources that can become overwhelming or sometimes get lost just in the sea of so many things. So our office will directly sign, connect, and collaborate with these organizations, specifically through our community schools grant, which is at about 10 school sites, I believe, at the moment, and looking to, grow to other school sites as well. However, at the moment, they are there, and with this, we're able to really just grasp even more resources and connections that possibly wouldn't be available because of funds or lack of education, and just bringing these together and tying them to both the students and the families. So we understand that the student success is the ultimate goal, but we try to really strive and maintain telling people that it really does start with you. So again, with Dr. Noguera's presentation about our parents being our first teachers, it was just really profound and a great opportunity to be able to speak after him and kind of let it be known that we do have resources to directly kind of enhance and build upon our parents as our first teachers, and really just building the collaboration to build the best success opportunity for our students in every way. Again, I do apologize for my mishaps. I have a quick link that I have dropped into the chat that is another resource of ours. It is a virtual problem-solving guide. And with this, please feel free to visit it as a kind of first stepping stone or first stepping point for when you do need information or are in need of just a little bit of clarity or don't know where to send maybe yourself or a friend or colleague within the district. This is a great starting point, as well as that catalog that we would love to share as well. I see someone even shared the Marshall Community Assistant, so that's great that some people are already aware and know. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or our office directly. I believe that information is on the screen. We're on social media, and we're pretty good as far as getting back to everyone as soon as possible. So thank you again to everyone for the opportunity, and thank you. Have a great night, okay?